What's the weirdest thing a roommate ever did? I once lived with a guy who believed the refrigerator had emotional memory. He said if we opened it too often, it would feel used and make the milk turn faster, like a tiny dairy vendetta. To build trust, he taped a schedule to the door titled Mindful Fridge Access with meditation breaks between breakfast and lunch. At first it was cute, please greet the fridge before opening. Then, please don't slam condiments, they have arcs. Then came the yogurt trial. He labeled cups Hope, Fear, and Tuesday, and tracked which spoiled first like a dissertation in dairy psychology. I ordered pizza at 1 a.m. He gasped, hot food will stress the cold morale. He insisted we introduce slices to the fridge like new coworkers. I stood there half asleep saying, this is pepperoni, he's team-oriented. The freezer, apparently, was the quiet twin who needed more affirmation. He put sticky notes inside. You are brave peas, thank you for your service, ice. When our landlord scheduled an inspection, my roommate held a rehearsal so the fridge wouldn't be startled by strangers. He taught me to open the door in one smooth motion, no flinching, and to speak in lower register so the lettuce wouldn't bolt. He dimmed the kitchen lights, it helps her parasympathetic chill. He started a fridge suggestion box where we could leave feedback for the appliance. He wrote, less condensation, more confidence, and signed it with a heart. He organized a trust fall, he leaned the mop against the fridge and caught it, whispering, I've got you. I stood in the doorway, holding a spoon like a microphone, narrating to my future biographer. It escalated when he banned leftovers on low-energy days, because the fridge needed a win. He tracked door open time with a stopwatch and scolded me for loitering in the light. I suggested we buy a thermometer. He said thermometers are judgmental. He did, however, install a wind chime so the fridge can hear the house breathe. Then the summer blackout hit. 12 hours without power. I'm tossing everything. He stands over the trash bag like a minister at a funeral. Say what you loved about the pesto. I mutter, it was green. He nods, teary. We hold a moment of silence for the heroic buttermilk. When the power returned, he pressed his ear to the humming door and whispered, you are strong. The inspection day arrives. The landlord walks in, sees affirmation notes stuck to every shelf like motivational posters in a very cold guidance counselor's office. My roommate offers a pamphlet he made, a beginner's guide to compassionate cooling. The landlord blinks, takes it, and says he once had a tenant who slept in a sauna, to build resilience. Suddenly we're the normal ones. Eventually we moved. On the last day, my roommate held a gratitude circle around the fridge. He placed a single grape on the top like a medal and said, you taught us temperance. I rolled my suitcase away and, out of pure muscle memory, turned back to the new apartment and whispered to the empty kitchen, hey, fridge. Reader, I still greet mine. She's doing great.
What's the pettiest roommate fight you ever had? 2 adults, 1 tiny apartment, and a whiteboard labeled soap ledger. We bought a 10-pack of sponges. She wrote our initials on alternating sponges like custody days. I thought it was a bit, until I got a Venmo request for sponge number 3 overuse, 42 cents. The balcony became neutral ground where we negotiated dishwasher treaties. She accused me of being inflationary with pods. I accused her of laundering single forks, 1 fork, on power wash. We signed a peace accord, minimum 5 items per cycle unless emergency fork scenario. She printed it, laminated it, and stuck it on the fridge, which, thankfully, had no emotional memory. Next came the citrus war. I used her lemon to defish a pan. She drafted a memo titled Unauthorized Zesting with photos, arrows, and a watermark like a crime lab. I apologized and bought 3 replacement lemons. She labeled them forgiveness, maybe, and try again. Then, the thermostat schism. I preferred not winter. She preferred Arctic Museum for butter sculptures. She taped a chart above the dial, ideal sleep temp, ideal Netflix temp, ideal confronting your choices temp. At one point I woke to find her measuring air with a phone app and muttering, "The molecules are too friendly." We had a shoe rack protocol, toes facing east for flow. I accidentally pointed mine west. She rotated them silently at 2 a.m. and left a post-it, course corrected. I retaliated with a passive-aggressive flourish, a tiny compass taped to the rack. The pantry bylaws required label-forward cans. She turned every label outward like a grocery shelf. I, a chaos raccoon, placed one can backward just to feel something. She discovered it, sighed like a disappointed dean, and instituted random spot checks. I started writing poetry on the underside of lids. Beans, forgive us. Final battle, toilet paper orientation. I replaced the roll over like a human. She flipped it under and left a sticky note, aerodynamics. I printed the 1891 patent diagram proving over is correct. She countered with a wind tunnel meme. We both laughed so hard the war collapsed from lack of seriousness. We celebrated our treaty with a ceremonial sponge exchange on the balcony. Every year on the anniversary, we Venmo each other 42 cents with a lemon emoji. Petty? Absolutely. But also, we never fought about real things. We had systems, we had memes, and we had the deep peace of knowing that in this wild world, at least sponge number 3 will never surprise us again.
What's the funniest landlord misunderstanding you've had? Our landlord texted. No pets. We had none. An hour later. Especially reptiles. Another. Specifically snakes. We live on the 3rd floor. The wildest thing in our place is a basil plant named Kevin. Weeks pass, then an all-caps email. Return the BOA. Attached, a blurry security cam still of Kevin on the windowsill reflected in a frying pan, stretched into a magnificent green noodle. The caption, evidence. He arrives armed with a broom, defensive, and a pillowcase, offensive. We present Kevin like a contestant on America's Mildest Life Form. Landlord circles him. He's fragrant. We nod. Kevin nods in spirit. Landlord relaxes, then confesses. He once had a tenant with a ferret that learned the rent schedule. It would sit by the door on the first like a tiny accountant. We agree that's impressive. Word spreads through the building that App 3B harbors a compliant serpent. The HOA calls an emergency meeting titled Herb vs. HERP. I bring Kevin. He sits in a terracotta pot, smelling like hope. The security guy squints at him, then at the pan photo. That is a basil noodle. He declares like a judge. The room exhales. Someone takes a selfie with Kevin. He goes mildly viral. From then on, our maintenance tickets get fixed same day. The landlord's inbox filters our emails into a folder called Good Herb People. On Kevin's birthday, the day we bought him from aisle 12, the landlord drops off tiny plant stakes shaped like swords. For defense, he says. Kevin stands taller, dignified, utterly non-venomous. Months later, a new tenant posts to the building app. Saw a snake in 3BS window. The comments fill with neighbors correcting them in all caps. Kevin is a basil icon. The landlord adds. He pays on time. Kevin does not, technically, pay rent. But spiritually, he's covering utilities.
What's the most chaotic moving day you've experienced? We planned a calm Saturday move, coffee at 8, truck at 9, keys by noon. Instead, the truck arrived with a driver named Moose who said he doesn't turn left emotionally. Every route had to be clockwise. Half our boxes were mislabeled because my friend believes mystery fosters resilience. One box marked books, heavy, contained a single book and 6 bowling balls. Another labeled light and fragile held a cast iron pan and a marshmallow taped inside for softness. The elevator entered nap mode, stuck between floors like a diva demanding applause. We formed a bucket brigade up 4 flights. I learned books are denser than guilt. Moose narrated like a nature doc. Here we see humans migrating couches in the wild, avoiding the dreaded left turn. At some point my phone pedometer threw confetti and begged me to stop. Mid-move, a storm hit. My mattress briefly auditioned as a kite and almost got the part. We lassoed it with an extension cord while strangers on the sidewalk graded us like Olympic judges. A kid yelled, 9.5 for the twirl. A dog barked boof, which we took as technical feedback. Inside, the screws for the bed frame vanished into a pocket universe. We fed an entire hour to an Allen key, which is how cults start. Our friend labeled a box survival. We opened it at 11:58 p.m. to find 2 granola bars and a note, proud of you. We ate in silence like victorious pirates. At midnight we realized we'd put the couch in the bedroom and the bed in the living room. We kept it. Bold floor plan, powerful sleep. A plant fell in love with the north window. The router chose a high shelf as its throne. The cat, not ours, a neighbor's opportunist, toured the premises, filed a report, and left without tipping. The next morning our bodies were made of bubble wrap and regret. We found the missing screws in a shoe labeled left, emotionally OFF limits. Moose honked a farewell that sounded like closure. We learned that home isn't where everything is perfect, it's where you eventually find the screws and decide the couch looks great next to the dresser you swore you'd sell.
What's your most ridiculous apartment maintenance horror story? Our shower squeaked, like a mouse learning violin. I filed a ticket. Maintenance guy number 1 arrived, listened for 2 seconds, and said, "Classic squeak. Needs more wetter water." He sprayed something lemon-scented and left. The squeak learned jazz. Maintenance guy number 2 replaced the showerhead with an industrial sprinkler that turned the bathroom into SeaWorld. "You'll get used to the pressure," he said as the tile surrendered to erosion. I started showering in a raincoat, which felt emotionally wrong. Maintenance guy number 3 entered with a stethoscope. He diagnosed pipe anxiety, hummed to the wall, and told us to speak affirmations to the faucet. We chanted, "You are strong plumbing," and the squeak modulated into F-sharp. Respectful, but present. Then came the legend, Old Stan. He knocked twice, frowned once, and said, "You got a rubber washer throwing tantrums." He replaced the 10-cent piece, the squeak died instantly, and the room felt embarrassed. Stan accepted a cookie like a night-declining treasure. The shower has been quiet ever since, as if ashamed of its jazz era. This unlocked a new religion, Stanism. When the oven started beeping SOS, in Morse, thank you, Google, we tried lemon spray, then stethoscope therapy, then called Stan. He tapped the panel, whispered, "You're fine," and the oven decided to live a moral life. When the toilet ghost flushed at 3 a.m., Stan replaced a flapper with the casual grace of a man changing a hat. When the thermostat claimed it was Sagittarius and refused to heat water signs, Stan reset it to January. Now our protocol is simple: 1. Lemon spray for morale, 2. Apology to the pipes, for continuity, 3. Stan. Order matters. We keep a cookie jar labeled for the old magic. He pretends not to notice. We pretend not to be in a cult. The apartment purrs.